This presentation is titled Tips and Resources for Families New to High School for Students in Grades 9 through 12. My name is Lorna Gilmore. I am a Family Partnership Specialist in the Family Partnership team. This presentation is for families in the Issaquah School District. So the purpose of today's presentation is we recognize as our district is becoming very diverse that we have many parents who are moving to us with children coming to our schools from countries across the world and also some other Washington states where the school system may be very different. And as a parent, our job is to help our child navigate the schools, understand the schools. We do not want our child to be the parent and try to figure it all out on their own. Where there's support system. And so we want to make sure you recognize that there is help and there are people in the district that can help you navigate the school system so you can ensure the success of your child at our school. I will be giving you some tips on what you can do as you start the school year, providing you with a lot of resources where you can find answers and help for the future. That's one of the reasons why we record this presentation because some parents have said it's like drinking from a fire hose. There's just so much information coming at you, it gets overwhelming. So if you just can't take that information, give yourself a brain break and come back to the recording or come back to this. Also note at the end of the session, I'll share some liaison information with you. We can have more one-on-one conversations. I have other meetings called Family Connections where you can get some information. And I'm also happy to meet with you. My job is to partner and help parents navigate the school system. So just note there is help. Okay, so we are here to help you and help your child as they transition to high school or transition to this new school system. So some general information. Another feedback we usually receive is our website has lovely, wonderful information. It's just a lot of information, and sometimes people don't know how to navigate and how to find information in it. So I'm going to spend some time going through some parts of the website, show you where the information from my department lives, provide you some resources. I'll refer to them through the course of this event, so just know what this is. Also give you some information on who to contact for big things that may happen as the year starts and some issues and questions. It has like a sheet on how to help you if issues or questions come up. So let's look at the link for the website. So here is our website. The first thing I want to mention is we have a translation bar. So if you have any questions, please make sure that if you need to look at it in different languages, I hope you are able to translate it to whatever is your preferred language to get information. So my website is right here, Family Partnership. So programs and services, Family Partnership. And when you get there, you'll see that the events I do are listed here in parent events. Resources are posted here. So all of the information that I do, this slide deck also will be posted under here. This presentation is from last year. I'll be replacing this. This presentation right here is from last year, but we will be updating this one. And if you missed the athletics and activities slide deck, it was we did an event late last week, and that information is posted here. If you're new to the system and you're trying to find out more information about course selection, last year I did a slideshow on course selection, and there's some information there. In my question, the registration form, many parents asked about Running Start. It's a program where you can get college credit in junior and senior year, but there's a video recording and a slideshow here. Many people are asking about financial aid and also how do you prepare for college. Information here regarding preparing for college and how to plan the graduation pathway. And there's another program called WANIC, then there's a program here, recording here. So you can see we have many resources. They're all videos and slide decks. So I hope you take a few moments and go and visit those sites to get that information. I also will be referring to someone called the family liaisons, and our family liaisons each work in different schools. I supervise the three of them. but two of our liaisons speak Spanish, one speaks Mandarin, but they also use interpreters to help families in different languages. And so if you're looking for help from at Skyline, Wenli Mital can help you. Issaquah High School families know Liliana Medina's name and Lena Marin for the Liberty High School families. There are other resources on here too, and you're welcome to peruse these resources at your leisure to get some help. Couple other things is about us here. There's a site called Contact Us. So sometimes, and this is something that came out with parents like you saying, I don't even know who to ask if something happens and something goes wrong. What do I do? And so here is something for you. We created this link called Who to Contact. And this Who to Contact link set means if there's a routing question, the bus is not showing up, you're not sure something about the bus, who do I call? What is their website? So here's information for that. If you're trying to figure out about fines or fees, you need to talk to the bookkeepers. How do I find this information? Who's in charge of that? So basically, a lot of the questions you may have, you can go to the site to see who's in charge of that and get some links to that person as you're looking for some information. Also, sometimes since you're new to the school system and you might be thinking, well, I don't know what do I do next? Do I talk to my classroom teacher? Because I know in some countries, the homeroom teacher is the main person that people kind of go to ask for help. And so you might be wondering, who do I contact? Who do I ask for help? And we do have a site that helps you understand. But the main thing for you to know is if it's in the classroom, to ask your classroom teacher. And if it's beyond the classroom, the person you can email is the assistant principal or principal. One of the things I want you all to know as you leave this presentation is in some countries, asking questions of a principal is kind of taboo. It's going really high up, they're a person of authority. But note, if you had questions and you contacted a teacher, your teacher was really not the right person because it has nothing to do with the classroom. Since high school, you're only going to talk to the classroom teacher if it's about the classroom. If it's about a general concern or question or problem, maybe with lunches or the buses or transition from class to class or something else, then you can start by contacting the assistant principal or the principal for help. And if you've contacted the principal and assistant principal, look at this section and you're still not able to resolve and get an answer, the next step is an executive director, and that information is over here also. The other thing I'm going to be letting you know is we will have many events through the course of the year. And so when we do have events, we post that information on the district website. We also will be posting it on the school bulletins and the district bulletins. And that information is also found over here under family partnership events and workshops. There will be links over here with all of that information. So for example, I'll be talking about a Canvas information night. It will live here. And today we did the 19th, my event right here. The link and the registration form could have been found over there. So the family liaisons, we talked about the different liaisons. We have three, one for each of the three high schools, and they are basically a resource to help you navigate the school system. And each school has one, and they're an employee. So before I was using volunteers to help with families, to help them understand kind of cultural brokers, mentor parents for other families to help them better understand the schools. But we found that because they weren't employees, we did not want to give them confidential information. Or when they worked with other departments, maybe the departments were not partnering with them because we didn't have a communication plan since, again, confidentiality. We take that seriously. So there are employees of the district that can help you navigate the schools. They're very knowledgeable. They've had training and been presented with information about this. And they can also help connect you with staff, other staff in the district that if they don't have the answer, or they may say, I can tell you who to contact and help you connect with that person because that is not within their purview to solve that problem. So for example, if you have an issue in the classroom where a student is bothering your child, you can ask them, like, what are the next steps? And then they will give you information and advice as to what are the next steps and how that is resolved, or the next steps are for parents or the child to take to get support in this issue. Next one. So we have the school calendar. So school starting on the 28th next week. And I hope that all of you have bookmarked this calendar, printed this calendar. Many years ago, we used to send this calendar home to families so they had this easily accessible, because there are some days where the calendar, there might be a no school day that may come as a surprise to you. For example, October 17th is a no school day because it's a teacher training day. There's another day in January like that. And if we do have snow between now and sometime in March, April, we have a built in snow day. So it's important that parents are all familiar with what the school year's calendar, which is the school year calendar for all schools in the district. So if you have a child in the middle school or elementary school, they too will be following this calendar. Also note that the Issaquah School District calendar is unique to the Issaquah schools. Bellevue has their own calendar and Lake Washington School District has their own calendar. So each district has their own calendar with start day, end day, different holidays. Lake Washington, for example, doesn't have the same February vacation time as Issaquah. So if you're talking to a friend who has a child in the other school, just note that those days may be different. Other things to note is that we have a 3-day weekend, a 3-day no school day for Thanksgiving. And December, there are 2 weeks off at the end of December. And also in February and March and April, we have entire week off. So currently, our last school day is planned for June 8th, June 17th. And I say the word planned because if there are snow days, if there's snow, if there's big storms, if there's something that happens and we have to shut down the entire district, then what the district does is it adds days. First, we'll add a day to March, and then if it's more than one, we add days to June. So you may have heard last year we had a mega storm. Because of that, we had to add about 4 extra days at the end of the school year, which meant that for us, school didn't end till the last week of June. So I'm just giving you a heads up. If don't plan on any vacations in late June till we've gotten through kind of February, so you know when school's starting, especially for high school students, because your high school students will have something called finals, and the finals is the last 3 days of school. So you want to make sure that your child is available to attend school at that time. So especially for high schoolers, elementary school, there's a little bit of flexibility because they don't take finals. But high school, especially, it's critical that you be very aware that days can be added to the calendar in June. So please don't plan any vacations till we've gone through January, maybe February, just maybe even into March, just so that we're safe and we're not adding too many school snow makeup days. Oops, sorry. In addition, another important calendar that you should all be aware of is every school's website. If you go to their main page, you will see, and by the way, I'm showing you Issaquah High right now, but note that Skyline and Liberty all have the same layout. So these top buttons all look the same for Issaquah High, Liberty, and Skyline. So you can see that same bar exists, and there's consistency with all schools in the district with that top bar for navigation purposes. If you scroll down, you will see a section called upcoming events. And the upcoming events will tell you things that are happening coming up in the next few days. So for example, all of you, if you're brand new, your children are brand new to Liberty High School, there's a new student orientation on the 28th, and that information is posted on the website. And if you click on it, they might give you a little bit more details. This one doesn't right now, but sometimes they do. In addition, there is also a full calendar view where you can look at upcoming information for the school. For example, this one also talks about picture day, no school day on Labor Day. And then if you look more details into September, you will note that it's posting a curriculum night at that time. There's a typo here, but it's talking about a Liberty Choir retreat and so forth. So a lot of the information can be found on the website under their calendars. So let's talk about some important dates. If you have your phone handy, you might want to take photos or just jot down some notes to help you remember. So since all of your children are new, there is a welcome ninth grade students and a new student event at all the schools. Issaquah High does it in the evening. We'll be doing it on August 26th. Liberty High and Skyline High School will be both doing it the first day of school in the mornings from 8 a.m. to approximately 11. So when your child goes to school, all of the ninth graders and the other new students from 10th, 11th, and 12th grade will be taken to the gym and they will do a information session to help welcome them and give them information because they're new and they might have extra questions that some of the other students might not have. Now, for you as a parent, you might want to bookmark the curriculum night. So Issaquah Highs is on the 9th and Liberty and Skylines on the 16th, and the curriculum nights are in the evening. And so that night, you actually visit every single classroom that your child, every class your child has. You pretty much follow their schedule. So you will go from class to class, meet the teacher. The teacher will do like a 10-minute presentation, talk about what they'll be learning, their grading policy, and some important details to share with you about their class. This is a very important night primarily because it helps you understand the expectation of the teacher, what some of the things that they might be coming up that year, and give you ideas, especially if you have a ninth grader or a child who's unfamiliar with the school. Because for you as a parent, you're their coach, your child's coach, their mentor, and you're going to be giving them some information just to kind of remind them, guide them, help them figure out how to access help in the school system, especially since they're brand new and they might not have it all sorted out. In another year or two, they are going to be totally with it and they'll be able to answer any questions and figure it out. But this first year, it's a little bit hard. So going to the curriculum night can be really helpful. And so I would recommend that for you. It also I took kind of notes when I went to my child's ninth grade curriculum night just to help me understand. So if she was struggling or if she had a question, I could say, "Hey, did you know your teacher is going to allow you to retake this test on this date, and you have an opportunity to make up to this percentage, or have you checked this and this is how your teacher said it worked?" Because your teacher might be giving a child all this information that first couple days in class, but sometimes it doesn't mean your child is retaining that just because for them too, if they're new to the school system or this is new for them, it's also between making friends and other things going on. It might be hard for them to get all of this information. So you are a great backup person to help them get that information and help kind of organize this chaos that they might be having. Some of them might not, but just to help them and be their thought partner through this process if they need help going through those first couple days. Or you might be able to help them just navigate through sites to get that information if they need it, because you saw it at curriculum night. Other things is picture days. I know it's silly for me to put it down, but picture day is important. Kids want to make sure they're dressed because that photo is the photo that then shows up for teachers to identify them in the classroom. It's what the transportation, the bus drivers have. It's the photo that's going to be on the yearbook. It's the photo that you can buy for them. So kids want to look their best. They're ninth graders, teenagers. So just kind of reminding them, hey, it's picture day, have you checked out your outfit? And then laptop distribution days have been posted. I have it for Issaquah High and Liberty. I'm not quite sure when Skyline's doing it. You can double check their website. But there's some information because all children will be getting a laptop. One of the things I'm going to tell you is when I my daughter started ninth grade, I did not do Instagram. I'm not a big fan of social media, but I purposely joined Issaquah. Got an Instagram account, and I purposely joined Issaquah High School's ASB Instagram because the ASB. We'll talk more about what ASB is later on. But just know that it's the school high school's official page, and very often they will post, especially when there's a different class schedule that day, they will post the class schedule. They'll post reminders about the finals. They'll post when there's a PTSA testing day, or these different reminders, just because who doesn't need someone to help them remind them of important dates coming up for your child or for you. So I got the Instagram account just so that I could help my child, and my child was also, I gave her permission to open her own Instagram account so she could keep track of this information at school. So, grading calendar. One of the big things to note if you're new to the school system, or even if you moved from middle school to high school, in high school, we now go into a semester schedule. So, we have 2 semesters. From the first day of school until the end of January, we have first semester. In the end of January, all of the lessons, tests, homework, work that the students did, all of that uh, becomes a cumulative grade, and then finally, along with their final exam they will take at the end of January, they will be given a grade. So the grade is not based on one exam. The grade, because as a child who grew up in India, my grade was based on that final exam I took at the end of the year. But that's not how it is in the US. The final exam is based on a cumulative kind of portfolio per se of other tests, other projects, maybe written assignments, labs that they did, activities. All of that information will go into a grade book, and then you will see that cumulative grade along with that final grade posted in Canvas and Family Access at the end when it ends in late January. And then all the grades zero out. And when the new semester begins, second semester, and zeroed out. All of those grades will go on until school ends in the end of June. And end of June, they'll take another final. And you'll have another grade. In high school, these grades are critical because for each semester of each class they take, they get a credit. I'll talk more about credit, but this goes towards graduation. So just note that every class they take is critical, and the accumulate the accumulated grade is important. It's not just, oh, I'm going to goof off all year, take this final exam, do fine, and I'm going to pass. That's not the way it works. I'll talk more about Canvas and the posting when I get to that slides, just so not to confuse you. I'll wait for that time. If your child is taking an elective class that is not a year-long class, their class will then change and they may have another elective. If your child is taking band, choir, orchestra, they might take it as a year-long elective, so they'll have it again. I know my child took PE and then she took ceramics, and she only had it for one semester, and the next semester she had another elective class that was not a year-long class. So how do you prepare for the first day of school? So preparing for the first day of school, many parents are like, what do I buy? How do I get them ready? Number one, a backpack. Number two, some kind of lunch bag if they are going to be taking their lunch to school. Many schools have microwaves, but just somewhere to collect that. Keep in mind the backpack should be able to store and carry their laptops. And then when they go to school that first few days, their teachers will tell them specifically what supplies they need. In most cases, students need a spiral notebook or composition notebook. This is my child's senior year in high school, and she's bought composition notebooks and spiral notebooks and a folder every single year. She prefers to use an accordion style folder per class. Some students like to just have a folder per class. So it really depends on your child's organization style. And beyond that, making sure you have some pens and pencils, highlighters, things like that, very supportive and helpful to start the school year. But unlike you're going to hear from if you have friends who are in elementary school, they have a very extensive list. In middle school, there's a list too, not as extensive, but in high school, it's general kind of supplies, maybe some sticky notes and maybe some index cards. So if they are the type that likes to have note cards to review, flashcards, they might want that. Sometimes some teachers might ask for flashcards, but honestly, wait and see in high school because there are many classes and many differences in teacher requirements. And so, my recommendation for you is don't buy too many things before school starts. Figure out what your child's classroom teacher is expecting. Your children most likely are going to be required to have a certain calculator. And if finances are an issue and you can't afford the calculator, some of the calculators, the more expensive ones, you can check them out from the school, meaning borrow it for the course of the school year. So note that that might also be an option. So the schools will be giving, as you noticed, there's a laptop provided by to all students by the school. And this is important because in the laptops are configured so that the students have easy access to many of the apps and that the laptops can be monitored because they're school issued laptops, especially for incoming ninth graders. You would not believe how many times their laptops die and then they're looking for a charging cord and using their own. We don't have charging cords for everything. Also, if you're using a MacBook or something, the teacher's not going to be able to support you, and it might not have things that the district apps and information is, using. So using the school configured laptop is really helpful because the school has downloaded and there's stuff on there for the students to use, and then the teachers can also monitor the laptops, especially during testing times or certain activities, to ensure that the students might are not cheating or anything. You had a question during the enrollment verification process. Was that are you? It's called a responsible user agreement. So make sure you completed that EVP because if you've not signed that, they're going to ask you to sign it before they'll give you the laptop, or they'll keep on harassing you till you get that form signed. Many of your textbooks, your child's textbooks, are also online, and that really helps a lot. So they're not having to carry the textbooks back and forth to school. My child usually brought home a set of textbooks, and they had the textbooks online for ease of use during the school day. So there are many options. One of the main things I'm going to tell you is that please make sure you remind your child to charge their laptop every evening. So when they come to school, the laptop is fully charged and ready to go. The laptops are good for about 5 or 6 hours, so students can use a laptop all day and it won't crack, die. And then when they come home, they will plug it in again so they can use their laptops and charge their laptops at home. So just keep that in mind. And in elective classes, they most likely won't be using the laptop. So the laptops last, my children's laptops last all day at school. So, about other devices. So, you might have seen many conversations on social media about phones and students using phones. The teachers really would prefer that the students not have phones out. I was just at one of the high schools for a training today, for teacher training, and nearly every single classroom had a sign saying, "Students, please put your phones in this basket or make sure it's, secure and away, the ringer's turned off," because we don't want phone usage during instructional time. So it's also important because I know as a middle school teacher, phones were coming out, and sometimes kids would take photos of tests or text information. So cheating also becomes an issue with mobile devices, even their iPhones, sorry, the iWatches. So, make sure you are having a conversation because the student and you will be asked to understand and agree to the responsible use policy for the district. So, there's an issue, there will be consequences, and the school will let you know that you've been instructed about this because you signed that during EVP. Also, a reminder to families, please have a conversation with your children because they shouldn't be doing any photos or recordings on campus because very often, sometimes kids are tempted to record one another and post it on Instagram. And we do have privacy laws that prevent that. And so your children might be breaking the privacy laws and the privacy of students, other students on campus. So that could become a problem. So just be aware. We don't want them to have any issues down the line. Health. So students should be up to date on their vaccines, and that's something you will have covered during your EVP. You would have to have during your registration to our district. And when you register, they'd ask you to start turn in all your registration, all your forms. So as long as that's done, you're good. And if you're not up to date, the nurse will contact you and let you know. In addition, all three high schools have a full-time nurse on campus. So if your child is not feeling well, if they're ill, they will go to the health room. And based on what's going on, the health room may call you and say, hey, your child's not feeling well. They have a fever or they're throwing up or whatever, whatever's going on. And then if it's a fever or they're throwing up, definitely you'll be asked to come in and pick them up. If they just have a headache or stomach ache or something, they will ask you how you want to partner with them in working and supporting your child. We do ask though, if your child has thrown up or have a fever within the past 24 hours of a school day, you not send them in so that they are not risk to other children and teachers on campus. And so just be mindful that, most of these schools have over 1,000 students. So your child might be exposing all of these other children to what they have. So staying home and looking at the lesson on Canvas would be a safer option. If your child has a health condition and you've not already done that, please note it is not. Sometimes parents are maybe embarrassed or they don't want to share certain health conditions like vision issues, hearing issues, walking issues, or any of these issues with a school nurse. Please note that they are nurses and they know about confidentiality, and you can partner with them to figure out how you and that person can help with any kind of health condition your child might have, because your child will be spending 6 hours at school. We want them to be safe. If your child has any allergies, make sure you let the school know about that. So that's another conversation you may want to have with the school. Attendance. So attendance in Washington State is compulsory for all children between the ages of 8 and 18. So until your child turns 19, they are required to go to school. So if they're going to be absent because they're sick or something, please go ahead and email or call and leave a message the attendance office so they know that your child will be absent. Give them your name, your child's name, the reason why they're absent, and also let them know that it's excused. Okay. You can also excuse your child from absences due to religion or cultural celebrations. Maybe for travel also, but for travel, if you have excessive absences, please note that the school will then start sending you letters saying that you have excessive excused absences, if they're unexcused, excessive unexcused absences, and then the school will work with you to figure out, they will meet with you. Maybe you and your child will have a meeting with a community court system to talk about how to help your child attend school on a more regular basis, or work with you on how to support your child to come to school, because attendance is critical. And data has shown that the more absences students have, the worse they perform in school. Makes sense. So this is the big one, Canvas. You may have been hearing about this word Canvas. I've mentioned Canvas a couple times, but Canvas is a learning management system. That's what it is. And pretty much it's a portal where the teachers put all of their lessons on Canvas, and all of their the PowerPoints, their homework. Students can look at their grades. My children, once school starts, use Canvas every single day at home when they come in. They go to Canvas multiple times. They actually, because they have cell phones, also have the Canvas app downloaded on their phone so they can quickly look at due dates and so forth. So your child is going to have the Canvas for students, and just note that it has kind of a red color for the students, but the app on your phone for Canvas for parents is going to have a blue logo. And this is important because you as a parent will have a different way to get into Canvas, different login, because your access will not allow you to turn in homework or to see who else is in the class. Again, privacy. And that's not your job to submit homework for your child. So you will have a different app, the parent side, and then the child will have a different app on the student side. There are many resources on the website to help you better understand Canvas. So note that's there. There, the kids and you as an adult can get into the Canvas portal by going right here, portal, and then going to Canvas. And when you get to this page, this is the parents' kind of red logo, and sorry, the children's logo, and the parents' one is blue. And on the website, it'll have all the information for you on how to create your account. And it'll also have many videos on how to use Canvas. If you want to get a head start on my website, I also have the presentation that I did last year. But just so you know, I will be doing a live presentation from one of the student technology presenters, student tech uh, TOSAs, it's a teacher on Canvas, so they can help you and you can all learn how to use Canvas. So there are a lot of resources posted on the website to help parents better understand Canvas, but we'll also have a workshop on the 15th. And if you're not digitally savvy and it takes you longer, no worries. A liaison or I can meet with you to kind of walk you through. We have also a hands-on activity because everyone has a different learning style, and so if you need more time to learn Canvas, we're there to help you understand. Lunch. There are many options in high school for lunch. Students have about half an hour for lunch. There are hot lunches, there are salads. If your child is buying lunch, lunch is about 4.25, and if they only want to buy milk, usually high schoolers are not going to do that, but if they do, it's 50 cents. And there are microwaves at school. So a lot of microwaves so that students can heat up their food. My children honestly like to eat a hot meal, but they don't want to spend time standing in line waiting for the microwave. So they take their food in a thermos so it stays warm, or they put it in a insulated bag and put it in their bag so that it stays warmish by the time. You can buy chips and drinks called a la carte. There's a lot of information on the website regarding allergens and the menus. Oops. And so just note that you are going to get this information. You're going to get this information about lunches on the website. So if they are interested in looking at the school menu for that day for the week, you can go to the website and it'll tell you what's the menu and what is being sold in the lunchroom. And sometimes kids use that information to decide if they're going to eat lunch at school or if they're going to take something, a sandwich or something at home. And as I mentioned earlier, if they are interested as a parent, especially as a child, in looking at allergens and looking at the digital menu, it's also there. Issaquah High School also has a breakfast program. So if your child wants to buy breakfast or if you're part of the free and reduced lunch program, they're able to get a hot breakfast also at school. Transportation. So you're going to be able to find out if your child is going to be taking the school bus, you will be able to find your bus route starting August 21st. So that's Thursday. So the bus route is buses only for students who cannot walk to the school because of distance. And then the bus always arrives before school starts. And then when school ends, the kids will go and find their bus. It's based on the bus number, the route number, and then they will take that bus home. Make sure you know the street address where the bus will pick up your child and where the bus will drop off your child. Sometimes the pickup and drop off are across the street from each other for safety reasons. So keep in mind when your child will be picking up the bus and taking it home. Now, also a big note on Wednesday, school starts late. So school starts around 10:10, I believe. You can check the time. But because school starts late, it's called a late start day and ends later, make sure you're looking at the pickup for Wednesday and the drop off for Wednesday. Because every now and then I'll come home and say, why aren't my children home? And then I realize, oops, it's Wednesday. So they're coming home much later from the bus. The other big one for transportation is because we live in this Issaquah area, sometimes because of snow and storms or power outages, The buses might be on an alternative schedule and it's called a snow route. No, it's not always because of snow, it could be power outage, but the note might be buses on snow routes, which means that it's an alternative route. And when that happens, please make sure you look at your bus route and there will actually be a link that talks about the snow route, the alternative route for your bus. So you see over here, your regular school bus route will be posted on the 21st, and sometime in October, before the storms and the snow come, you might want to go to this link to see when it snows, where is your bus pickup and drop off. So keep that in mind. Also, during an emergency, we have something called an emergency bulletin. And so make sure you're kind of looking at that emergency bulletin snow route information so you understand what it means and how it impacts your child. Snow routes are also not in the exact place where the regular bus routes are. So the pickup and drop off point and snow routes, because of snow, sometimes if you live on top of a hill and the bus normally comes closer to you during snow days, it might not be able to make it up that hill. So the pickup point, you might need to walk a little bit more. So the website, Find Your Bus Route site, has a lot of information. When I send the slide deck to you, you will be able to get in. And it's also going to have instructions on how to, what your username is. It's a different one than Family Access. So the username and password, your child's birthday, very easy, will be there so that you can go and look at it. I would demonstrate it for you, but it's not available yet. However, I do have a picture of what it looks like. And here you can see it tells you the address where your child is going to be taking the bus, what time the bus comes. This is important, what the bus number is. Please note that the bus number is a different number than what's painted on the actual physical door. There's a little plastic holder that they put a paper and that's going to be the bus route because they have to change the bus route for high school, middle school, and elementary school, the bus route number. So 22 would be for that route for the high school. The elementary school, that same bus driver and same bus might be have a different number. The days of the school is going to be Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday versus the Wednesday schedule. Then you're going to have a separate section that will say pickup time. So you're going to have this for your child if your child has access to take the bus because they live too far to walk, starting on August 21st. And if you can't find information and you're not sure, you're welcome to call transportation. That number is posted on their site so you can ask them the question about it, or if you're not sure if transportation can answer, you're welcome to call us. We won't be available. We may not have the best answers for transportation. I would strongly recommend you call transportation about bus routes because they have a different system and the computer access is different for bus routes. If you have questions to clarify about transportation. Sports. So many parents asked about sports. Last week, I did a presentation on what is ASB, about different sports available and clubs. Um, we did a presentation of over an hour, so I'm not going to have time to go over all of that in this presentation, but I will tell you that there are many opportunities at each of the three high schools for your children to participate in sports and in clubs. So there are three different seasons at each of the school and opportunities for both males and females to participate in different athletics. The fall sports, winter sports, and spring sports are all listed. So many of the fall sports have already started. If your child is interested in a fall sport, please make sure they have completed something called final forms. It's the registration forms. You have to go, it's kind of like completing a school registration, but it's a different link. You have to answer all the questions. You will also have to upload a paid physical to get in there for your child to participate. And then there will be information about the start date for each of the sport, who the coaches are, and details about each of them on here to help you better understand it. So all of that information is there. In addition, once you want to go in there, each of the different clubs, sports teams have their own website that will have information on it, their calendars, the days of the tryouts, all of that posted on it. Now, one of the things to note is many of these sports, so not all of them, like cross country, everyone can be in it. It's not a cut sport, but some sports are cut sports where the kids have to try out, and based on their skill, they're going to be placed in a group called varsity, which is the top tier, or junior varsity, next level down. And so they will be placed in that specific team. If your child wants to try out for a sport or be in a sport, they can try out. And if they do get cut, please note that you will be refunded the money. You, each sport to be participating in a sport does cost approximately $200. In addition, all students need to have paid their ASB fee to participate in sports. So for sports, it's two things. You need to have your ASB fee paid, which was part of your enrollment verification process, EVP last week. Two, after you do that, when you fill out final forms, it'll ask you to pay that sports fee. For each sport, it's $200, but after you've done two sports and your child wants to participate in a third sport, the third sport is free. If that's a lot of money for you and you need financial assistance, you can talk to your child's school ASB bookkeeper, and they will work with you to modify or to cancel payment based on financial need. So note the information for winter sports also posted here. Starting dates will be there, and spring sports. And if you have any questions about sports, there are multiple people you can connect with. And that is each of the three high schools has a person named an athletic director. And the athletic director will have a number and email that you can use to connect with them. And they'll also have an athletic coordinator, kind of an assistant, kind of secretary person who just checks final forms, make sure everything is paid, bookkeeper, posting, all of that. So they're also a good resource if you need help or have questions about sports. Clubs. So each of the high school has, that's the wrong date, it should be the 26th, but each of the high school is going to have information about the clubs at the school. So on the 26th, it's a good day for students to go and learn more about clubs. You can also visit each of the websites. So for Issaquah High School, the information is here. And no, it's not just fine arts and activities. These are clubs that there's no application or criteria to join. So this is National Honor Society and some of the music clubs. You have to have certain skills to be part of it. So students also, if they don't see their club posted here, they can ask to start a club. So being in a club is really helpful, especially when a child is new, to help connect, to make friends. Sometimes my daughter went to at least 2 or 3 clubs her freshman year. So look and see through all of this and see what is where your child might best fit. Maybe some place that they have interest in, or sometimes they're just fun clubs. Key Club, for example, does a lot of lots of volunteer work, and so they just meet and talk about what are some community service activities they can do, and then you can meet with other friends who are also doing community service. So there's a lot of different clubs at the school. So each school has their own website. It's important. You might have seen a club at Issaquah High School, but when you go to Issaquah Middle School, it is possible that that club might not be available at that school. So note that the clubs sometimes are unique to that school. That's why it allows students the opportunity to start their own club. ASB is the Associated Student Body. It is not a club. It is basically all the students in the school are part of a group called the Associated Student Body, and then they elect a president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, they have class representatives, and these students make decisions on activities, funding for clubs, and different funding for non-academic programs for the school. And these elections take place. If your child just started, you missed it, but the elections take place in March and April. So if your child wants to look into a leadership position, they can take a leadership class, and they can also run for an ASB office. But that class is also a separate um, from a regular club that has no criteria. Okay, next. So, how can you help your child? I mean, right now there's so much going on. You yourself might be overwhelmed, so your child might be overwhelmed also. The main thing is to understand what your role through all of these transitions and your child's transition to the school, and your role really is their mentor and their coach. So, if your child has never emailed a teacher before, you might want to help them figure out how that happens because you want to teach them how to email and how to ask their question, how to advocate for themselves. Because in high school, very often parents are not the ones who email first, especially a teacher to say, hey, my child is missing many assignments, they have a zero, or they're going to be absent tomorrow. What is their makeup work? That's not really the role of the child, the role of the parent. The role of the parent is to remind the child that, hey, you were absent. Did you check with all your teachers what assignment you missed? Did you go to Canvas to make sure you made up all the assignments that you missed? Have you gone to Canvas to see if you have any zeros? Let's sit together and look at Canvas and see what you're doing, especially the initial first few times. So, how do you coach them to be successful, to have those executive functioning skills, to be able to check their grades, make sure all the assignments are turned in, to be organized, and then also how to advocate for themselves, how to talk to the teacher, how to email the teacher. If they're interested in sports for clubs, you might want to talk to them about their interests. How can they go about doing it? What are some options? If they're not sure where to start, maybe you can talk to them about checking from ASB or what they have done before or what their interests are. One of the things I also did for my child is helping them figure out the bell schedule. The first couple of days, could be a little bit hard because the bell schedule might be different, especially, for example, Liberty and Skyline, they have a modified bell schedule because they have a new student or the ninth grade orientation in the morning. So the Thursday and the Friday bell schedule will be slightly different, and then on Tuesday it's a block schedule, so the bell schedule will be different. So how can you help them with that? So how can you sometimes be proactive in getting information or saying, hey, do you know how to do this? Let me kind of show you, not do it for them, but let me show you where you can get this information. Uh, One of the things I did not show before, let me see if I can get that. So, for example, at Skyline, I did not show this to you before, but let me just let you know. Each of the schools under our school, they have a tab called Bell Schedule. And under Bell Schedule, it's going to tell you what their Bell Schedule is on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then there's going to be another Bell Schedule. So this is Monday, Thursday, Friday, A lunch and B lunch schedules. Then there's one for Tuesdays, and all schools have a block class on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So on Tuesdays, they usually have certain classes, and then on Wednesdays, they have the other set of classes. If the school is 1 hour late, I told you there's going to be a different schedule, 2 hours late. I'm not expecting you to memorize any of this. I have no idea what all of this is. The only thing I'm hoping you know and remember is it's all on the website and it'll be easily accessible for each of the school. If you go to our school and you look at bell schedule, and you can either take a screenshot of this and share it with your child so they can keep it in mind. You can print it out, write it down. For me, I usually take a screenshot because they post it on Instagram and I send it to my child so she has it easily accessible in between classes, not in the classroom. to know what her bell schedule is. But all of the schools have this information posted on their website. So communication. So as I said, it's not really about you communicating with teachers as much. It's how do you help your child communicate with a teacher? Now, if the communication between the student and the teacher is not working, then of course you can then step in and communicate with the teacher and clarify some questions that you might have. But I always try to make sure that before I get involved, I've made sure that I've done everything to help and support my child, being the first person to express the question or concern. So, because one of the things about high school is really trying to teach them to advocate for themselves so that they are ready for college life. Because when they go to college, they're expected to do that all on their own. So, students are not going to come home with any pieces of paper with a report card or letters from teachers or paper flyers. Everything in the district is done electronically. So you're going to be inundated with a lot of emails and communications. On Mondays at 4 o'clock every Monday, the school district will send an email. Please look through it and see what information you can use. On Thursday, now if you don't read the Monday bulletin, fine, but if please read the Thursday bulletin. It usually comes out between 4 and 6 every Thursday from your high school, and it's going to have some of the important information. So just make sure you've at least scanned through it so you know what's going on, bookmarked it so that you can come to it over the weekend or something. But that is your primary communication. Next, you're going to get emails from Canvas. You're going to need to save that email alias so it's not going into your junk. Because one of the biggest problems families have is a lot of emails go into their junk and they say, I didn't know, I didn't get any email. So just kind of monitor your junk mail and put those as safe senders. If you come to my Canvas session, I'll tell you the instructure.com email. So, how do we make sure that that information is coming to you? Also, Canvas has the ability to send you many emails. So, how do you go into Canvas and check your notification schedule so you're getting notifications? I prefer to get my notification just once a day at 6 o'clock in the evening, so I'm not getting too many random notifications unless it's an emergency, a big announcement. Sometimes a teacher might send an announcement saying, make sure you bring this, it's critical, or something big that's happened. But otherwise, I try to limit it to one email from Canvas with notes and information from Canvas at 6 o'clock each day, and you can change it to whatever is your preference. But know that teachers do not send many emails to the parents. It's really about you checking Canvas to check their grades, you checking what the assignments are. So it's about your child and maybe you getting this information yourself proactively. The teachers are not going to send you directly an email to inform you about information. So periodically, maybe once every month or so, the teacher might say, hey, we're starting this unit, keep this in mind. But that in middle school, it happens more often. In high school, teachers are sending information directly to their class or personally to a parent much more seldom. And so it's your job to, if you're looking to monitor your child's progress at school, it would be your job, mainly your child's job, really, but your job to also look if you're interested in finding out. And I would strongly recommend that you do, just so that you know that your child is okay and doing well at school. So encourage your child to participate in class, get help from the teacher when needed, ask questions if uncertain, model what it may look like if your child is new or very shy. Like when can I ask? What are some options? Teach your child how to advocate for themselves, practice with them on how to type an email to the teacher, how to ask for help. Independence is really stressed in secondary grades, so students are encouraged to ask for help themselves before the parents start directly communicating with the teacher. Teachers have office hours or times that they can answer student questions. So have the child know, and that's one of the reasons for curriculum night, the teacher will tell you what's the best time, day, or way to communicate with them. In addition, in high school, students have a time during the day called flex. And during the flex period, they have the ability to go to a different classroom, one of the teacher's classroom, to get help, to retake a test, to relearn a concept they may have missed. So this flex time during the course of the week that's specifically built in so your child can get support from a teacher or for a class that they need help on is critical. Your child needs to encourage and remind your child to use that wisely. Because if your child is not using it wisely, then they might be struggling because, maybe they're talking to another friend or doing something different rather than trying to get help during that time. There's another time during a week that's a homeroom time, and that time it's a different day. They do a lot of announcements and they do something called SEL lessons. So that ties in with the counselor role. So all schools have school counselors, and your child is going to be assigned a school counselor based on their last name. So, based on their last name, they'll have a school counselor that stays with them through all their years in high school. The counselors do a lot of academic counseling, like discussion about course selection, scheduling of classrooms. Um, as a parent, I have spoken to my child's counselor with her to help figure out what's the best course of action and plan for her as she's getting ready to graduate. Usually, that conversation happens their sophomore year because that's when you're taking some more specific classes in junior and senior year. You can also, if you need financial assistance, they're also the point of contact because they have access to help you get certain financial assistance for other programs. Maybe they can help you connect with the bookkeeper for sports fees or other things that you might need to pay for. For example, some of the tests, there's some fees sometimes, and so if you need financial assistance for the state level, like the PSAT test or the SAT, or sometimes there are just some fee. Oh, sorry, the AP test or something. Social emotional counseling is also provided by counselor, but on an occasional basis. If you need really a counselor, your child is struggling with anxiety, depression, the school counselor can help you connect with a counselor outside of school. And based if you have insurance or no insurance, they can give you resources. We have something called Care Solace that you can use. It's in my signature. If you look at my email all the way bottom on the bottom of my email, it says something about Care Solace and a link to it. It's a group, a company that the district works with to help families find counseling service or medical, mental, anxiety, depression, different kinds of supports. So we have a lot of anxiety and depression in our students, and that's not just the Issaquah School District. Honestly, it's many high school and middle school students. There's different reasons for that, but making sure that if you're noticing something going on, you're talking to the student, you encourage the student to talk to the counselor, you can talk to the counselor about that. So the students should email the school counselor if they want to make an appointment. There's also a way to go to the counseling office and request an appointment with a counselor because they don't like, counselors are busy, so it's not possible to just walk into the counseling office and just hang out there and wait for the counselor to be ready. And same thing for you. If you want to talk to the counselor, please email and make an appointment. The first couple days, weeks of school, it's really hard because they're working on balancing schedules and doing a lot of different things. But once they have time, and if you email them, they'll figure it out. They will work with you. So I have a question in the chat saying, can the child email and CC us as parents? If they're using their personal email, yes. If they're using their school email, the school email doesn't allow them to communicate with outside people just for security reasons because we don't want outside vendors or anything sending them. Also, sometimes the kids can click on spam, and we've had issues where the accounts have been corrupted, and we have malware because of that. So the school district email is only for teachers and students for them to communicate within that, but all students are encouraged to create a personal email to use for other reasons. And if the child has a personal email, they can definitely CC you to talk to the school counselor. So, especially when you get to your junior and senior year, having that, they're going to encourage you to have a personal email, because when you're sharing information with colleges, you want to use your personal email when you're creating accounts with the college. Curriculum night. So we talked about that. I'm encouraging you to go to it because it's going to give you information. But one of the questions sometimes parents have is, what are kids going to learn? So the school district has a lot of our curriculum on the website posted. So if you go to the school district under district link, so not under the schools link where all the schools information live, but under the district link, there's a section called academics, and the academics has the curriculum for all of the schools. Also under academic, this link, you'll also see the course guide. Many people are asking me questions about the course selection process. The course selection process, the course guide is posted here. And so the course catalog is updated every March for what classes are offered, and gives you information like, do they need a previous class to take it, prerequisite, what grades can they take it, what is their how much credits they will earn, and so forth. Now, moving along on the concept of grading and course catalog and such. In high school, you might hear some terminology that you may not be familiar with if you didn't grow up in the US. Ninth graders, very often you'll hear freshman night, freshman something for ninth graders. 10th graders, very often use sophomore, juniors for 11th grade, seniors for high school, sorry, seniors for 12th graders. So your child is the class of 29, and so your child will be graduating in the year 2029. So that's going to be a big deal. Your senior year, you're going to be putting signs, class of 2029, and so forth. So it's a big deal, your the reunions and everything for the class of 29. So your child, if they're ninth grader, will be the class of 2029. If you have a sophomore, you're the class of 2028, and so forth. High school courses. So in high school, your child is going to have many opportunities to take classes that are on level classes, and then also accelerated classes. Okay. So some of the accelerated classes, especially in ninth grade, are called honors classes. In 10th, 11th, 12th grade, the classes might be AP or IB classes, especially in junior and senior year at Skyline. Now Skyline also has a few AP classes. Liberty and Issaquah High only have AP classes. They're not part of the IB program. So your child will be able to take AP classes. AP is advanced placement. There's a link in here that will take you to the website to get you more information. And advanced placement, they're an accelerated, very rigorous class. And very often universities and colleges look at students who've taken AP classes as that they've taken a more rigorous class to prepare for the college life. At the end of the AP class year, your child can take a test, and based on the score on the test, they might be able to earn credit for college. The IB is also very rigorous and has a great name behind it, but it's a diploma and it's college prep, and it's really a rigorous program, and it's very much about, it says it in the name, International Baccalaureate, and it's usually for kids who might be considering going to school in Asia, or going to school in Europe or some other country. So the district also has a Running Start program that students in 11th and 12th grade can take. You saw that I had a website link on my resources with a video, more information. If you're a ninth grade parent, please don't stress out about that. They're not going to be doing it right now. Focus on right now and look at this stuff later on. There are online classes also in the high school. Your child can take certain classes online. For example, if they don't want to take PE at school for whatever reason, they can take one credit. So what half semester, two half semesters for half credit each for a total of one credit as an online high school class and get credit on their transcript as having taken their PE class. So the online classes, we have an abundance of them. And then it's all online, and that information is also the online classes they take is also posted on Canvas. And they're usually asynchronous, meaning that they don't have a teacher teaching it. The kids have to read and do activities all on their own. So keep that in mind. Online classes is not Zoom classes, it's all on their own. In addition, online classes, students have to come to school every now and then to the district office, that is, to take the test. So they do all their lesson on their own, they do all the activities and so forth. And then when they get done with the module, they come to the school district, take a test, and then they start the next unit, take the test, the next unit. And based on the scores on the test, that's how they get their final grade. And there's no teaching, direct teaching, but if they have questions, they usually have a teacher assigned to help answer questions for students taking online classes. You'll also see something called career and technical education classes. It's very much encouraged for students to take career and technical education classes. It's the college prep classes, they're classes for kids who want to go into technical school, career preparation, some more in-depth, lots of fun classes in that program. So you can look at the different choices. It's also a requirement for students to take, I can't remember the total number of credits, it's one of my next slides, but they're required to take classes that fall in that category in order to graduate. So if you're new and you're not quite sure, how does your child earn credits? So when school starts, they're going to be taking classes. For each semester of a class they pass, they get half credit. If they completed 1 year, they get 1 credit. So in ninth grade, passing ELA will give you 1 credit. In ninth grade, if they take 7 classes and pass all 7 classes, both first semester and second semester, they will earn a total of 7 credits. 10th grade, so forth. Now, when you graduate, graduation is based on the number of credits you earned. This is a hard concept for some kids because they think after 4 years, they're just going to graduate because they've completed 4 years, but that's not the case. It's about earning credits that allow you to be able to graduate and get that diploma. So at the end of your senior year, let's say you only have 23 credits for whatever reason, you're not going to graduate. You can take summer school, you can do some kind of online class at another time. You can be a fifth year senior based on your age. Some kids are fifth year seniors. And so there are options, but you're not going to be able to walk at graduation and graduate. You won't get a high school diploma. So high school diploma is based on credits earned. Washington State requires that students earn 24 credits to graduate. Not only is it just 24 credits, but it's 24 credits in specific categories. So keep that in mind. Passing is an A, B, C, or D. Yes, a 60% is a D. Doesn't look very good if your child is college bound, but if your child is going to technical school or Bellevue College, it still counts and it's fine. So just keep that in mind. So though I said that it's 24 credits in specific areas. So in English language arts, they've got to take an English language arts every single year, 4 credits, and colleges really want to see that. Social studies, only 3 are required, depending on what you're going to major in college. Some are going to say 4, some 5. So you might want to see what kind of program or what kind of college, what the college admissions requirement is. So this is to graduate and go to school at any Washington State school. If you're looking at a non-Washington State school or private school, you might want to look at the college admissions to see what that college is looking for. Math, at least 3 credits. You want to graduate with like an Algebra 2 type class to go to college, but at least 3 credits are required. Science, again, 3 credits required. Most colleges are looking for students to have taken biology, chemistry, and physics. and maybe one other one, if especially if they want to go into a Bachelor of Science or in the science field. World language, at least 2 credits. Now, those of you who have children who are fluent in another language, you might want to consider that they take a test called the World Language Test, and based on their score, they can earn up to 4 credits. 4 credits if they pass that test. And that test is going to have a reading, writing, and listening and speaking component. But the schools offer them usually at least once a school year, but you can talk to the school counselor to see who is the person at the school. There's one person assigned at the school that gives the test on very specific designated dates. So you might want to find that out. It's not right now, it's later on in the school year, but just so that you can prepare for it. Arts, 2 credits are required to graduate, but most colleges really don't require that. Now, if you're going into a fine arts college, if you're going into a major of music or such, digital media, you're going to take some art credits. And the CTE classes, there are some like digital photography, digital media classes that are both art and CTE credits, like they're dual. And some colleges have those requirements for certain classes. So again, looking right now doesn't matter. You're just going to take what's required to graduate, and there's a very basic number of classes that all kids in ninth grade take, and also honestly in 10th grade. It's really starting in the 11th grade where you're taking classes that are more geared to what your child is interested in. And that sometime in 10th grade, your child should really talk to their school counselor, or maybe you can talk with them, or you can talk to your child about that. There's also something called a high school and beyond program that students work and school and do activities online. I have a slide deck on high school and beyond for the graduation pathway. If you watch my graduation pathway, there's a video on high school and beyond. I can talk about that at a later date. I'll have an event on that, but it gives the kids activities and questionnaires so they can think about what am I interested in, what do I see myself doing, what career pathway am I looking at, and then based on how they answer the activity, the website gives them suggested courses they should take, and those suggested courses will then appear in their account so that they can kind of keep that in mind in March when they're registering for their classes the next year. So keep in mind that we do have systems in place to help kids figure out what classes they take based on what they say they're interested in their career inventory surveys or other surveys they do that are part of the high school and beyond program that they're given time to do and they're assigned to do in school. So that is part of one of their classes, that homeroom class. They'll send out a notice saying, kids, please make sure you're, completing your high school and beyond ninth grade requirement or 10th grade requirement or 11th grade requirement. And that information is posted on the website. Then volunteer opportunities and keeping connected. So as a parent, I have just talked about so much stuff and it's probably overwhelming for you. And so how do you kind of keep up with some of that? And so I would recommend maybe joining a PTA, the PTSA, and they sometimes post important information and dates to help you. There might be some volunteer opportunities at school. That's a great way to meet other parents and talk to them about what's going on and just getting ideas on what classes their kids took and liked and enjoyed. I know I have a co-worker whose older 2 children went through Issaquah High, and so I, asked her like, how was this class? What's this class like? Did your children like this class? Just to learn more because everything is unique and sometimes a class may not sound interesting, but maybe that teacher is just amazing and really pulls the kids in. So just getting some information parent to parent to help you with this. As I said, join the school's Instagram site, but also join the school district's Facebook site, Instagram site, and some of the other social media because it's just easy sometimes to get reminders about information through there. We talked a little bit about this, but I have a Canvas information night coming up on September 15th where we'll walk and teach you how to use Canvas. If you just watch the videos and learn on your own, yay, more power to you. If you want to kind of listen and go through it, with us, great. And if you're still behind and you need some one-on-one help, we can meet with you and help you on a workshop time also. In addition, 4 times a year, I do something called Family Connections. And it's just kind of a gathering of parents and they ask questions. And then based on their questions, we talk and discuss. And so it's not a formal presentation like this lovely 34 slide deck, but it's just why do I really need to use Family Access? What is high school and beyond? Tell me more information about it. What are the pros and cons to AP versus, non-AP classes? So we can just have a discussion and talk about these things, and have someone to chat and kind of brainstorm and learn more about school policies, programs, and procedures. And again, this is the liaison information. If you complete the slide, this deck, you will be able to get this information so that I'm going to copy this, uh, so that you have all these links accessible to you. Okay. Now I am going to post the feedback form in chat so you all have it. So please go ahead and complete those resources. And while you're doing that, let me talk about a couple questions you were asking. So a parent asked about parking. Parking, starting next week, the school will send out information about applying for a parking pass. I'm honestly going to tell you, Issaquah High School and Skyline are at overcapacity. Way too many students and not enough spots. And so, because of that, it's hard to get a parking permit. If your child is a senior, they have a higher chance. If your child is carpooling, higher chance of getting a parking permit. But if your child is a ninth or 10th grader, taking the school bus is your best bet. I have a parent who's asking about uh, joining clubs. So if you're Issaquah High School, go to the event on the 26th. If you're Liberty and Skyline, your child will get to learn more about clubs in the morning on the first date. Visit the website. Listen to suggest that your child listen to the announcements. And so those are some great ways to learn about it. So next one is, what are block classes? So block classes are, so let me look at Skyline's thing. So if you look, for example, for the bell schedule for Skyline, you'll see that on On Tuesdays, students have periods 1, 3, 5, 7, and on Wednesdays, they have periods 2, 4, 6. And on Tuesdays, they have a flex time. Usually, that's the time that they have flexible time to go and talk to other teachers, do assignments, and so forth. And then on Wednesdays, they're calling it Flex 2, but sometimes, at least once a month, they might do activities, like maybe a high school and beyond activity or something. Um, are, one second. Is there any resource to help students prepare for SAT? Not in schools. Is it required? It depends on the colleges. Some colleges have SAT required scores to turn in. Some colleges don't have SAT required scores, but the school district does nothing with SATs. We're not involved with that at all. SAT, when you sign up for it, it's all through outside organization. And so that's not part of it. Booster Club. Does one parent need, it's not required for a parent to register for Booster Club, but if you want to join Booster Club, please do. Many of the schools have very robust, active Booster Clubs. So I strongly, if your child is active in sports and clubs, strongly recommend that you do it so you can support the students and help with fundraising and in other activities. So we have a question about high school pathways. So high school pathways, I'm going to this college and career site. So again, how did I get there? Student life, college and career center. So under the career center, you have something called college planning and career pathways. So they will also have information on high school and beyond. Let me see if it's in here. So here's the high school and beyond plan. So the parent asking about how do we align graduation classes. What you can do is you can go here, and there are some activities that students do. And based on those activities, it kind of helps them figure out what they're interested in and make suggestions for their classes that they can take. Okay, and this is something called Zello, and students have access to it. Um, Washington State is supposed to be changing and giving us a specific program they want us to use. We have been using Zello for the high school and beyond plan, but just kind of keep in mind that we do support students in graduation pathways, and there are many graduation pathways. If you want to learn more about school and graduation pathways, honestly, that's a very big, complex conversation. And there are lots of resources on the website to help you. I have done a presentation and I will be doing a presentation on it. And that presentation, last year's presentation, will be found over here on high school graduation pathway. As after school has started and a couple weeks down the line, let me know if you want to have a conversation about it. How does high school credit work for families to pay online classes? I'm not quite sure what that question is. High school credit, you get credit as I showed you for each class you pass. You're not paying for any of this. If you're taking additional classes beyond the 7 credits that during the course of the school day, then you will pay for online classes that are beyond the school day. I have a question, parent asking about how to get the e-link for their bus. Remember, the e-link for bus routes will not be available till Thursday. On Thursday, you can then go to the website and just go to the website. You will be able to go here to programs and services again. Note, under programs and services, I'm listed, counseling is listed, buses are listed, meals are listed. If your child is a MLL, new to the English language, there's some information there. But buses, if you go here, you will be able to only access this after the 21st. And then you will be able to just click here, and the information on your username and password will be, it's right above it, and you will be able to look at your child's bus route. Okay, have I answered questions? Are there any informal meetings or events for kids so they can get to know each other? Um, Not really. I would say that would be through clubs. I would encourage your child to join clubs and sports. So certain sports, cross country, like seriously, a fourth of the school does cross country and track, like a lot. Hundreds of kids do that. So that's a great time for kids to meet each other and become friends. Clubs, there are so many clubs and activities. That's yet another great way to make friends, and then just different activities. When do we join clubs? So your child can join a club based on when the clubs start. Usually it takes at least 1 or 2 weeks for the clubs to start meeting, just because the teachers, it's brand new and the teachers also figuring it out. So the clubs, also some of the more established clubs, because they already have leaders, like many of the clubs already have president, vice president who set the meetings and activities and what's going on. So some of the clubs may already have starting dates, but I would look at um, the introduction, the welcome activities for new students and freshmen to learn about those clubs. And then once you do, you will be able to kind of go to those clubs and see what day they meet, what room they meet, what they do. And then at school, they'll make an announcement that this club is starting to meet this starting this Wednesday. And many of the clubs also have Instagram pages. And so the Instagram pages will also tell you when those clubs are meeting and what they're doing. So again, in high school, Instagram is a really big thing for ASB clubs and sports. So you might consider joining that if you're interested in learning more about it. At this time, I am going to actually stop recording. Okay.